Now, going over to the political part podcast, you have Trump versus Kamala, top 20 donors. Let's dive in and see who is supporting who. Now, specifically, these are contributors from people who work at the companies. So these donations aren't actually coming from the businesses themselves. We'll have to do another analysis later. Now, this comes just thanks to someone on the good old X Twitter named The Rabbit Hole, specifically hashtag The Rabbit Hole 84, which I would think that's a perfect hat tip to 1984, the most brilliant book of all time, specifically written by George Orwell, which is a great novel, great, but it's also quite horrifying, a little disappointing to find out how much modern society has become very much like that book. Now, no surprising, pretty much all the employees at big tech support Kamala, which, again, no surprise, during the last election, it was like 99% of donations from the Google went to Democrats, with less than 1% Republicans and a little bit to Libertarians. So there's not too many surprises on the list, but let's go and read them down. Now, we have Donald Trump, his top one coming from, again, these are from employees who work in businesses. You have American Airlines at 134,174, and it looks like this information is from Quiver Quantitative. That's specific. And this is top donor contributions to Harris Biden and Trump's political principal campaign committees in the 2024 election cycle as of September 2024. Again, Trump's biggest one is American Airlines at 134,174, which makes sense also when you consider their headquartered in the great state, or some would argue the great country of Texas. You also have employees at Walmart coming at $83,908, Boeing at $82,761, Lockheed Martin at $69,552, which again is pretty interesting because again, many people do know Boeing from commercial airline, but a big part of the portfolio of Boeing is defense contracting, and Lockheed Martin over 85% of their entire sales every year or income come from government contracts. They're the largest defense contractor on the planet. And historically speaking, Trump was the only president in my lifetime where he did not start any new wars, which thereby decreased the demand for a lot of defense products. So it is interesting that a lot of the employees who work at defense companies are actually still supporting him. You also have United Airlines chipping in to Trump at $67,742, FedEx at $61,901, Wells Fargo at $59,451, Johnson & Johnson $57,499, Brown & Brown at $56,087, Southwest Airlines at $55,829. Seems like, interestingly enough, a lot of defense on Trump's side, ironically. Northrop Grumman coming in there. Again, they're one of the largest aerospace designers of all time and manufacturers, getting $52,032. Raytheon, which I think is best known for play video games, Call of Duty. You might reminisce at the Javelin missile, which is a very unique design, but Raytheon makes a lot of missiles for the U.S. military. They come in at $43,368. Costco at $43,370. Integer at $42,000. Actually, it might be easier just going to round. You also have Morgan Stanley at $41,000. Microsoft. So you have some Microsoft employees that donating to Trump. I was pretty. That was a little bit of a curveball for me. Granted, they have many offices throughout the whole U.S., but pretty interesting. Now, Microsoft came in at $41,000. GEO Group at $41,000. Delta Airlines at $37,000. General Motors at $32,000. And Home Depot at $31,000, which, again, the GM one, that's another great example in terms of, the UAW has been Democrat for decades. It's, where they donate all their money. But in terms of people who actually assemble the cars, work in the offices, a lot of the individuals are very much pro-Trump. One of the biggest, most hilarious ironies in business history has to be United Auto Workers getting Biden elected. So their dollars that these union members are paying into, well, it was used to basically destroy their jobs because Biden is making EVs the de facto and making gas engines illegal with de facto bans with tailpipe emission fleet standards and also subsidies. But there's a reason all these governments are totalitarianism and control. But there's a reason all these manufacturers are trying to make more and more EVs, which for unions are not good because inherently EVs require less manual labor to create. They also, overall have less components. So there's not much demand for lower skilled labor to actually make an EV vehicle. And yeah, a lot of those traditional jobs are going to be transformed into software engineering jobs. Some people might not be able to have that skill set that transfers to another one. So there's going to be less, not only is there going to be less jobs, but there's less profit. And in many instances, you do have profit sharing with the automotive manufacturers. And you look at the traditional legacy automotive companies, you got General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, which became Stellantis. Well, those companies, they basically perfected the V8 internal combustion engine. It is a feat of engineering. I still love the Mustang, the Mustang with a stick shift in V8. Hard to beat that. But yeah, that's where most of the profit comes from. Basically, trucks, another big profit center. all the gas, all the like look at Ford, they lost $132,000 per EV sold Q2. That's terrible. Tesla makes money in EVs, but it took them years. They're also not unionized. Employees get stock and incentives to work. Now, going to the Kamala, you're not going to be surprised. And look at the delta in terms of employee donations. So again, the largest company, or the company that had the most employees donating specifically to a candidate, you had Trump at $134,000 coming from American Airline employees. Juxtapose that with Google. Google employees donated $1.464 million to Kamala Harris. And yeah, that should scare the living shit out of everyone, part of the French, because yeah, they basically control the internet, have a monopoly on it, many of they did. I mean, just a couple months ago, they were busted for manipulating headlines for Kamala Harris to sponsor ads, where they basically rewrote major news headlines to make it seem like they were approving Kamala, making her look good, when quite the antithesis was the fact. They were not singing her praises at all. Very few do. Now, coming in number 2 is Microsoft at $743,000. So talk about a discrepancy. So Microsoft gave to both people at Microsoft donated to both political campaigns. $41,000 to Trump, $743,000 to Kamala. That's pretty one-sided. I also have Brown & Brown at $324,000, Johnson & Johnson at $239,000. Look at all these tech companies. Apple at $225,000, Oracle at $218,000, Wells Fargo, looks like they actually both have Wells Fargo, $170,000 or $169,000. Nvidia at $169,000, Boeing at $137,000. So you do have another Boeing. Morgan Stanley $136,000, Netflix $125,000, JP Morgan, which again JP Morgan Chase, that's $117,000. Integer at $117,000. So you got another copy. So Integer was $42,000 for Trump, $117,000 to Kamala. Accenture $113,000, Adobe $98,000, Amazon $98,000, Facebook or the Facebook $97,000, Broadcom is $93,000, Pfizer $93,000. You have no reason to tune into the show on Rumble. It's you cannot criticize those companies on here because yeah, one of the few videos where I just brought up a lawsuit, didn't get my opinion, just brought up the lawsuit. They yeah, that video was taken down. And I was given a hard warning on my channel. You also have Disney, no surprise there, $91,000 for Kamala. So you have a couple overlaps, although in terms really just in name only, the percentage donations are really lopsided for Kamala. Trying to see a single instance. I mean, I guess I guess employees at Walmart. Oh, again, this is the top 20, but yeah, employees of Walmart very much Trump, very not at all in terms of the top donations to Kamala. And I think to me the only thing that really stood out was the defense contractors really supporting Trump. That because again, there's a dip in demand when he was in office. Now, granted, there's so much political turmoil and global conflict. I think no matter who wins the upcoming election, I think, again, not financial advice, but I do think the demand for defense products will continue to increase over the next couple of years. Just because, again, the whole world seems to be on fire. Well, I don't know, partially because the U.S. has gone so soft. So I think they're going to be secure in terms of their businesses for the foreseeable future, whoever gets elected. But to me, that was one of the biggest curveballs. Now, Johnson & Johnson was another one where they donated to both campaigns, which makes sense. Both of them helped to make money. In terms of the airlines, I was pretty surprised another curveball went over to Trump. Now, not surprised at all. Big tech all went to Kamala, basically. Yeah, I mean, that Google, that's, I mean, not only censorship, but also just unprecedented amount of campaign dollars being donated there. And again, it is kind of funny. People think, it's funny, just like, look at the numbers in terms of a lot of the big money for all these companies. Like, the top, again, it's almost double Kamala. When you look at, the smallest of the 20 donations was $31,000 from employees of Home Depot to Trump. The smallest for her was Disney, employees of Disney actually, at $91,000. That was another thing that kind of caught my eye as well. It went pretty viral today. Got 27 million views on the good old X Twitter and 17,000 likes. One of the first ones comes from Kyle Thompson saying, quote, "The idea that Google and Microsoft, while donating that kind of money, aren't manipulating users on platforms to vote for where their money is comical." Getting $2,700. The rabbit hole says Gemini indicated otherwise, getting 348 likes, which is their AI. Yeah, never forget, it was a couple weeks ago. It turned out that the people who put those spy things in their home, ridiculous. The Alexa, which apologies if you have one of those pieces of trash in your home. I hope I didn't accidentally, inadvertently, cause it to activate. But it's kind of creepy when you ask that little brain box, what are some reasons to vote for Trump? It said, oh yeah, we don't give political opinions. There's no reason. They asked, what's the reason to vote for Kamala? They said because she is a strong black woman. That was the reason they said, which is also kind of, Kamala should be insulted by that because I'm sure she's proud of accomplishments she's done. Oh yeah, the inflation. She is proud of the Inflation Reduction Act, which, like all political bills, ironically had the opposite effect in terms of causing record inflation. And Republicans do that too with their bills as well. But yeah, in terms of like, if you were to ask the AI why you vote for someone, yeah, that was interesting. Now they did fix that, or they quote unquote fixed it after people complained, but it shows you the big inherent bias that it has. You also have Phantom Platypus, which that's got to be the best username we've heard all week. That person says support American First companies, getting 137 likes. DVD said Google said hold my beer, getting 82 likes, which, yeah, that is insane. Again, these employees, the top one for Trump is American Airlines at $134,000. Top one for Kamala is Google at $1.4 million. It's kind of funny to see the juxtaposition of kind of a lot of these things change throughout our lifetimes. There's when I was a kid, the cliche used to be like big business would always support the Republicans back in the day. The Democrats are the party of peace, and big Republicans are big war, big pharma. Interesting to see how much things have changed throughout our lifetimes. Scrolling down more and more, you have Livercat Media TM saying, quote, shows you who needs to know who, and the most Google is backing her heavily, but financially doesn't matter. Google controls the information and knowledge. They control what's seen. They aided her. The search engine scandal ads, remember, getting 64 likes. ZNO says this chart perfectly depicts why you should vote for Donald Trump, getting 298 likes. Scrolling down more and more. McManus says, ironic how Google and Microsoft are up front, right? The two largest tech censors in history, getting 121 likes. A couple of memes of Boeing being clowns. Let's see. Stormy Sunset says, hold up. Lockheed Martin and Raytheon donated to Trump. I would think some massive amount would be donated to Harris since she's willing to go to keep the wars going. What am I missing? Getting 7 likes. I'm curious whether people are responding to her. And a lot of people just brought up the point that it's employees who work there, not the actual businesses themselves, which I'm sure we'll probably dive into that another date. Let me know if that'd be something you'd be interested in terms of seeing, which businesses are donating the most. And granted, with individuals, there is a cap on how much you can individually contribute directly to a candidate. There's not if you go to like something like a super PAC, but when it comes to businesses donating, that's usually where they do, because again, for a business, those limitations on the political campaign distributions are pretty minuscule. Yeah, a couple curveballs, and let me know what was your, in terms of kind of looking at the chart, what was the biggest outlier where you're pretty shocked in terms of really employees from that company are donating to this candidate? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.